before Metabolic Balance would have gravy and would have all these things and condiments and whatever.
There'd be pots and pans, sauces and gravies and all sorts of things. And then with the Metabolic Balance, no, a lot was pre-prepared. I'd have containers of chopped vegetables and things in the fridge. You go make your meal up in a few minutes. There's only a few dishes. That's it. And you know where you are until the next meal.
Hello and welcome to the Metabolic Balance Stories podcast. This is where we share real stories and insights into personalised nutrition and the impact it can have on the body. I'm Cherry Wills, I'm your host, and I'm delighted to invite you to listen to a really interesting story from over in Perth. So Beth Klenner is a naturopath and metabolic balance practitioner. And she's today joined with her brother, Russ, who's over from New Zealand. And Beth, you've been a metabolic balance practitioner actually for, quite some time. It's probably about 7 years, I think.
7 years. Absolutely. It's been amazing.
Yeah. And I think I'm correct in saying that Russ was one of your first clients that you put through Metabolic Balance.
Far off, maybe 3 or 4 months it took to work on it.
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah. Could you share what it was? So maybe, Russ, if you come in first, would you just share what it was that was going on for you at that early time?
Yeah, so I was, I'll say, diagnosed with autoimmune disorders along the lines of rheumatoid arthritis and lupus. It wasn't exactly conclusive, but it was certainly the symptoms I have had put to me that there wasn't a box that they could slot me into. Yeah.
There rarely is with autoimmune, though, isn't it? It's often a diagnosis of elimination. I think is, typically what happens. Yeah. How is that impacting you?
A lot of inflammation, a lot of pain and flare-ups that just would come on and you couldn't determine why. So, Beth put it to me that, hey, would you, like to try this metabolic balance and see how, if it can, improve your life. I wasn't probably aware of how much extra weight I was carrying at the time.
Oh, really? Okay.
Conscious that I was probably uncomfortable with the excess weight when I was carrying out physical activity, but it's something that you just put up with. But then, so here was the potentially I could lose the weight and without having to do massive amounts of exercise. I like that idea because I was getting to the point where, physical activity was painful. So yeah, we undertook that.
And I could see from my side the swelling and the inflammation. And I knew how amazing that I had been feeling. And, I could see it and I really wanted them to experience that, and knowing it was just food, it was just a matter of working out how they were going to do the food. Like it was more of a concept thing rather than a diet. It was like we're going to, and I knew he ate really well anyway. It was just, I also knew from a practitioner point of view that some of those foods were possibly inflaming and contributing to it as well. So, and I remember he was just going through this time where it was frustrating not really knowing what was causing a lot more of the pain that was going on as well. So if we could just peel off this one layer, it would certainly would help him. And that's what I could see. Just took, a few conversations for us to get organised.
Yeah, a little bit.
And also with the New Zealand as well. So, working on the pathology through the doctors and that type of thing also.
Yeah. Because Beth, you'd also have an autoimmune condition, don't you?
We do indeed. Our family is very generous. I was diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis in my early 30s, and I had it is a condition which combines arthritis and psoriasis together. So some people present with the skin and then it goes into the joint, and others like me presented with the joint that can come out to the skin side as well. So for me, I just woke up one morning with a swollen knee, and it took me about a year before I could walk again. So I was ended up walking around on a cane, and I could hardly bend my knee at all, about 10 degrees, 10 to 20. And it took, 6 months to get a diagnosis of that. And at the time, my mum was visiting, and she had the psoriasis, and there was actually no test to diagnose psoriatic arthritis. I believe there still isn't. And so the doctor looked at her and looked at me and said, this is what you've got. And for me, because there was no pathology test results, I'm like, you're not going to tell me what I've got. And I think that was like my third rheumatologist. I think I'd seen another one who told me that if I didn't do anything about it with pharmaceuticals, I would be in a wheelchair, crippled hands and feet. And this is exactly what she told me. And I'm like, well, there's no way that's going to happen to me. So finding metabolic balance has been amazing for me, and it's something that I can take with me now and know that I can keep my inflammation down. And as long as I do the right things, I'm in a good, healthy zone,
Yeah. So you'd experienced the impact of the MB plan when you first did your training then on your own health. And then you're sort of seeing your brother, Russ, struggling a lot, or, experiencing all the pain. And you're just kind of like, you've got to try this.
Absolutely. So that's where it was coming from. It was like I could just see it, and I just knew how much it could help him feel better. And the phone calls I would get as he was going along the journey, and this energy and this excitement and everything was awesome.
My wife came on board as well.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah.
She was quite keen to do it for weight loss. Yes.
So the thing is that a lot of MB is often seen as a weight loss, program, because it's one of the biggest side effects is that. But the side effect is really reducing the inflammation, and then it's the knock-on effect of what that reduced inflammation did. So how quickly did you start to experience sort of improvements in your pain levels, Russ?
Probably fairly quickly. The joint mobility, seemed to come back. But again, with it sort of, the weight loss did incorporate that, because you could move much easier. If I had to bend down and pick something up, it just was that much easier. And then if you don't have so much pain in the joints as well, you're just doing it more enthusiastic.
And you were telling me for your work, getting in smaller spaces, it was easier for you to do and being more agile.
Yeah. So I was an operator in a dairy factory, and
okay, yeah,
shift work. So that in itself was challenging. But so sometimes you had to get in and around some machinery or what have you, to fix something, and it can be a bit uncomfortable.
I think it's just this acknowledgement, isn't it, that sort of that discomfort in your body does impact every area of your life, really, doesn't it? I mean, like just being able to move around. If you're having to move around in pain and discomfort, then it's going to impact everything.
That's really what started. I was pretty keen recreational swimmer. I'd like to swim a lot for personal fitness, and then it got to be really too painful, and I simply went to the doctor and said, "Hey, why does it hurt to go swimming now? This is supposed to be one of the exercises that's the least impact on your body." That's really what happened there.
So are you back swimming now?
No, I don't.
I was hoping for you to say, "Oh yes, I love swimming now," but life moves on, I suppose, as well, doesn't it? Busy lives and things like that.
Unfortunately, physical activities can still have an effect on me.
Yeah. Okay.
This has been going on. I have had this disorder for quite a few years now.
Yeah. And I think that's the reality of what we're really talking about here, because an autoimmune condition is not something that has miracle cures for. It's the immune system that is hyper vigilant and hyper aware, and we just need to find great ways of managing things so that life can be comfortable.
But what he has found is that with the array of pharmaceuticals, medications, it's helped him to sort of identify what probably is working and been more beneficial than not, isn't it? You've really been able to hone in on the medications.
Yeah, because if I have a flare, it's really I can feel more specifically where it is. Whereas prior, all I had was this all over body ache, and it wasn't as defined.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's helped me. It's helped me like that.
And also, when you've gone to the doctor, then you've explained to me that you've done everything that you can do.
Oh, absolutely. That's right. So I thought, hey, if I'm going to ask for help here, I've got to have done everything I can to have helped myself first. And I can go body weight, tick, that's good. Diet, yes, tick, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And the body weight will just naturally keep down that inflammation as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And would you like to tell Cherry about your ski slope theory?
Yes, that's what started when the weight loss started. And I'd lie in bed, and as my stomach started to disappear, I could put my fingers, this is just lying on your back, I put my fingers at the bottom of my ribs and run them down to my belly button. And it was this, and I just called it the ski jump. I just called it the ski jump slope, and the slope got larger and larger and larger. And that began my, I didn't have to jump on the scales. I go, oh, well, the ski jump's larger today.
That naturally means it's having a great knock-on effect for the pressure on all of your joints and the rest of your body, doesn't it?
Yeah. You can sleep better. You can lie any which way you like in bed,
How did it impact your energy?
Oh, absolutely boosted it. Night shifts, I was doing here 12 hours, and generally around the 2-3 o'clock time in the morning, you start to run out of energy, and there's this cloudy sort of sensation going on. Well, all that went, and everything seems so much brighter. And going out into the plant doing my checks, I'd be zipping around everywhere, going, this, I just feel great for this time of the morning. It's incredible. Yeah, really, really helped with that.
And that's so important for just day-to-day life, isn't it? Did you find the energy as well with your psoriatic arthritis as well?
Oh, absolutely. And for me, I am still learning to run. So especially the first time when I experienced metabolic balance, the ability to start sort of walking at least faster and like doing little bits of jogging, like tiny, because I've had so much muscle wasted in my thighs that the muscle has to build up. So it's not something I can automatically go and do. But just eating the way that I am with non-inflammatory foods, then I know the knock-on effect for me, because the damages in the knee joint isn't going to trigger a flare. That's where I need to be careful in everything that I do, is that I don't trigger a flare from a physical movement. So knowing that the same as Russell, I'm doing everything I can to keep my body from being inflamed.
Have you had any comments from the doctors about sort of the change in your symptoms, or the sort of the steadiness of your symptoms, the management of them?
The rheumatologist, the nurse there that I would see periodically, was quite interested in the metabolic balance when I sort of explained more about the food groups and what I was doing to try and help myself. Yeah,
because they were a little bit concerned about the weight loss at the beginning, didn't they? Because they didn't know why he was losing weight. You shouldn't be losing weight, so they were concerned there was an outside or an internal problem going on, not that he was.
And I had to. I had to convince them that no, this is intentional.
And it's a really healthful release of weight that you're actually doing here, getting back to a natural, comfortable weight for your body.
Yeah.
Beth, have you looked into any more of the sort of the science behind the like how the food does impact autoimmune conditions as a practitioner?
Even in my early studies as a naturopath, going over 20 years ago, I actually did my assignment at the end. We didn't do big thesis in those days, but I did all about how the gut affects psoriatic arthritis or autoimmune. So we all know it comes from the gut, and we all know now with the new microbiome tests and things that we can get that it's all to do with that gut bacteria. And I remember even then bringing my mum up and telling her how many pineapples I was juicing because of the bromelain, it's going to reduce my inflammation and those types of things. So limited with what we had then with reading books, and there was no online things. And certainly something like Metabolic Balance way back then would have just been a total game changer in my recovery in those very early times. But definitely food, and we know that there is science against which types of foods influence which types of gut bacteria, the motility of our bowels, our digestion, that we have to, politely go to the toilet, and it's very necessary for us to evacuate waste and do that in a healthy way, So all of it will clog up the system, and we don't want that. So eating foods that are aligned to us allows that reduction of inflammation and also can help that motility once we get the right foods tracking. But definitely the gut is involved, and along with, of course, so we have our gene sequence that we're given at birth, and then really it's what happens to us in our lifetime, whether those genes are triggered or not, and it can just be from stress or some sort of physical assault to the body, an injury or fall or whatever that could trigger these, and so I think most people have a set of genes in their body that could be triggered, and the best way we're learning now is through learning about food and how it actually speaks to our genes.
Yeah. And I think it's just that recognition how much of the immune system resides in the gut. It's around about 90% of our immune system actually is in the gut.
I think we're only one cell between your gut lining and that immune response. And that immune response is our first line of defense all the time. So it just makes sense. And if you're eating foods that are inflammatory to the body, it's just going to knock on effect right through into our joints, into our brain, everywhere.
Yeah. Is there, so I mean, really what we're talking about here is how much knowing the right foods for each of you, because you're brother and sister and you have different plans. Have you actually compared your plans? Have you put them side by side?
Thinking that now? No, we haven't.
No, we haven't. No.
But we're eating different food.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is the intriguing thing is all the time. It is about finding that food that is for the individual. It's just not the same for everybody. So, but it is that sort of recognition that it's a great way of managing and keeping at bay inflammation that otherwise could really hold you back.
And speaking of just inflammation, I mean, the reason why I found out about metabolic balance was because there was another practitioner using it for another autoimmune disease, for Hashimoto's, and to have women lose weight with Hashimoto's, I mean, that's amazing. So that's why I followed that up and also then applied it to myself and my brother and numerous other people with autoimmune disease, It's just incredible.
Yeah. Because I actually believe there's at least, I think it was something like 85 different autoimmune conditions are actually been identified, with others that are sort of this on the periphery, that they think they're autoimmune, but they haven't really fully defined it. But essentially, it's just the immune system attacking one part of the body. and or in lupus, incidence of lupus, it's more of a whole systemic. It can be more systemic as opposed to really localized.
That's why you don't necessarily fit into a box, because we actually don't know what is being triggered in our body. And that's why Russell could have 2 or 3 different autoimmune disease names, but they really are just one and the same.
Yeah. Yeah. And so many people actually live with the discomfort without any idea that there's anything they could do to really tip the odds back in their favor, tip the scales into their favor as opposed to the other way around, which is really what you've experienced, isn't it, Russ?
Yes, well, just sort of along there. So I've recently returned to the workforce in a different environment, and it has me working away from home a bit more. So I know that, so if I'm doing metabolic balance, it's given me a lot more confidence. So when I go away, you're going to be in a different environment, working with different people, that I'm going to be feeling the best that I can while I'm away.
The thing is, look, I think Russell's amazing, okay? The way that he really embraces metabolic balance, he really is, and has done so well. And he just goes, look, I know that this helps me. Like, this is food is my medication in this case, and I know how amazing I feel on it, and how much, while I still have pain, now I can deal with it, and even mentally a lot better, because you know that you're doing everything you can. And then you know how to prep yourself. Like, if there is a job come up and you go, right, I'm going to get into this and, do it more of a regimen before you go away. And then really you're able to be confident that it's going to take them through.
Yeah, it just sort of makes makes pain, I don't know, more specific. It makes it more tolerable.
Yeah, it takes that real overall, because it's the exhaustion of pain, isn't it? I think it's
absolutely,
takes that exhaustion away. Is that what you're saying?
Yep, and there's afternoon naps, they can go for a little while.
Yeah, afternoon naps, yep, they go.
I think that's one thing that is often overlooked with pain in general, because that whole body, just all encompassing pain is just exhausting from start, from onset to like all through the day. And if you can just manage that so much better, then life is again just going to be just that so much nicer.
Yeah, able-bodied people really, and as it should be, don't feel any pain, don't understand what it is, and it only takes like a twisted ankle or something for someone to be in pain for a short period of time to start to understand a little bit. But then think of someone having whole body pain all of the time and still working and still having children and still doing life. It just puts that extra level of exhaustion and stress on the whole entire body. And so to get some relief from that is just truly magical.
So why would you stop doing it? I think that's
I think everyone has their pain point. It's helpful to be reminded of where that's going, so you don't landslide to kick back up again.
Is there anything you would share as a little bit of advice for somebody, Russ, who's kind of maybe relating to what life used to be like for you?
I would say give MB a go. It's truly fantastic.
Surprised how good it was, just out of interest?
Yes, I couldn't believe it. It was the weight loss initially, that's the biggest impact it had on me. And then, of course, and everything that came along with the weight loss, just the self-confidence, the not having to worry about putting on a baggy jumper, and things like that. And just really feeling good. Over the years, I've suggested to people, hey, have you heard about this? Go and read up about it.
I think that's the other thing that's probably really important to point out. You've actually been following your metabolic balance plan and doing MB for what, 6 years now? 6-7 years?
A year it was beginning 2019,
January 2019.
6 years.
In that time, I've done. You sort of follow the food groups, but in that time, I've done 4 times now. I've done it what you'd call a total reset, where I've gone, okay, now this is dedicated back to back to precisely the plan and followed that through. And that just gives you, it's a reset, gives you a remarkable start again, brings you back if you're sort of losing yourself with maybe a change of environment, with not able to eat your foods, and you need to just get back.
That's the reality, basically. You never do one thing once and then suddenly this isn't looking at a cure. This is really recognizing, how do you manage it? How do you reset yourself when you need to? And you've got the knowledge and the understanding now.
You go, well, I'm starting to feel real lousy again. Well, why is that? And you run into people, talk to other people about their dietary habits too, and I think MB is a good one because you eliminate a lot of the controversial food groups. You're dairy-free, you're wheat-free, and boom, they're just off. That's out of the equation, and I'm happy with what your food groups you're given. The food gets pretty easy to make some really nice meals.
And we were speaking earlier about how the meals would have, before Metabolic Balance, would have gravy and would have all these things and condiments and whatever.
There'd be pots and pans, sauces and gravies and all sorts of things. And then with the Metabolic Balance, no, a lot was pre-prepared. I'd have containers of chopped vegetables and things in the fridge. You go make your meal up in a few minutes. There's only a few dishes and that's it. And then you know where you are until the next meal. You don't have to worry about, oh, no, I'm going to get hungry. Well, no, that's okay. You eat at this time. Or you've got this amount of time to do something until you have to think about, oh, well, I'm going to get something to eat.
Simplifies life.
Yeah, and the appreciation.
Yeah, absolutely. Simplifying.
Yeah.
And the appreciation just for real food again.
Yeah.
And the flavours.
Introduced me to foods that I wouldn't have really eaten before.
Thank you so much to both of you for just sort of sharing your insights here. And, I think, again, it's testament that this is just sharing the reality of what a change in diet can do when it's truly personalized to bring about something that's really makes a difference. And that's the point. We want something to really make a difference. Otherwise, and you don't want to always have to rely on very strong medication, which is sadly often the only option for the majority of autoimmune.
And that's really what I wanted to reduce as much as I could, was, pharmaceutical medication.
And taking responsibility for your own health, I think, was really important to you.
Yeah.
It's always a balance, it's like, we want the, I'm always a believer that medication has an incredible place, and modern science is always finding out fantastic stuff, but if we need to also meet it properly where we're at and take that responsibility, look after ourselves, and then use the amazing resources that modern science and modern medicine actually creates, and then it can all be nicely in balance and for the right reasons. Thank you to both of you. It's been so lovely to talk to you today, and I think it's just shed some really great insights into the power of food for autoimmune conditions, and how you can be incredibly proactive and change the dial, change the probability, change the reality of where you're in every day to make a real difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I agree. Gives you some empowerment over your own body, rather than just handing it over and waiting for the next stage to come to you.
Thank you so much to both of you for joining me. And if anybody would like to find out more about Metabolic Balance and how it could help you with your pain, or whatever discomfort you are in right now, do get in touch with your local Metabolic Balance practitioner. Beth Klenner is based in Perth, but also works online. And there are practitioners all over the world, actually. So metabolicbalance.com is the website you should check out, and also in the show notes. So thanks again to Beth and Russ, and we will see you all again next time.